Hello, today you join me at the Regional Print Centre and we're going to make some cyanotype prints. So we'll start by showing you some examples of the cyanotype print. These are some that I prepared earlier in a good tradition. These two, which are done with feathers and string and paper clips. You'll find out as we go along the process, and I'll explain it then, but these are just examples of the print. This one's done with wire just placed over the top of the paper. And this is done with, from a drawing, an ink drawing, black ink drawing on tracing paper. So there are variations that you can do and achieve different ways of making the prints using various methods to stop the light getting to the paper, which we'll go through very shortly. So what the process involves is coating a piece of paper with a solution of light sensitive chemicals. I'll show you one that's coated already. It looks like that. Now that's light sensitive. Obviously we're in LED lighting at the moment, and it's fine for a short period of time. So it's not like the traditional photographic paper where as soon as it touches any light, it's had it. You can keep it in daylight for a short period of time while you work with it. So to make the solution, you can buy a little kit just like this. It has instructions on the back how to make the solution. It's two separate chemicals. We have one potassium ferric cyanide, which is part A. Part B is ferric ammonium citrate. So they come in little bottles in powder form. You add water to them, let it stand for about 24 hours, and then when you come to coat paper, you mix equal parts of the solutions, of the two solutions together, and then the mixed solution becomes light sensitive. Once you put water in these containers, they will keep, I understand, for quite some time. Once they are mixed together, the solution will probably last for a couple of hours. I think it said on the packet. What's really 2 to 4 hours, it says on the packet. So you just mix up the solution, the amount of solution that you need. I've been coating paper that size with 15 ml of each, so 30 ml of solution, and I would probably get 20 to 30 papers coated with it easily with that. So it goes quite a long way. The paper that we're using for the cyanotypes is just a good quality etching paper or a watercolour paper. Needs to be about 250-300 grams. That will take a good amount of moisture, and we are going to rinse the sheets after we've exposed them to wash the solution off. So they do need to be of a substantial quality. Other things that we will need will be a container to mix the solution in, a brush to apply the solution. We need some sort of measuring container where we can accurately measure the amounts of liquid solution that we are going to mix together. Once we get all that together, we're ready to go, which will go on to the next stage, and I'll show you the coating process, and we'll take it from there. Right, I'm going to mix up the two solutions together and coat some paper and take you through that process. I've turned the overhead lights off within the print center to dim the light down, and this light will be sufficient to save the paper. It won't affect the paper. So I'm going to take my measuring jug, and part A, I'm going to use 15 ml of that measured into here. A good shake before you use it. Like so. And 15 ml of part B solution. Which is going to give me 30 ml, of course. So tops back on the bottles, mix it up and pour it into our container. As you can see, there's not a lot in there. I'm just being frugal with the solution that we've got. So I'll take some paper. This particular paper I'm using is called Unica. It's not an expensive paper. We use it quite a lot within the centre for courses, and it's ideal for this testing. So I'm just brushing the solution onto the paper, giving it a good coating, but you don't want to have too much on the paper. It's a bit like if you've applied a wash with watercolours, you find that it does sort of flood in certain areas, and you need to be aware of that, because that can build up, and I'll show you in a second. You could coat it right over to the edge of the paper, but quite often it's nice to see the brush marks in it. But you will see now, this one I did just then, that the paper curls a bit and there is a flood here of the solution, which can be not the best when you come to expose it. It could be too much. So I tend to, with the brush, just lift it off. So you can go ahead and coat as many sheets as you want, but that solution, once it's mixed, it's mixed. You can't save it. You've got to use it really, or bin it. So again, this sheet has curdled a bit, and I'm just going to take that bit of flooded area off the sheet, and that's it. So I'll put those to dry along with the rest that I'm doing, and we'll move on from that in a few minutes. So I have a couple of dry sheets here now, and I'm just going to place some objects that I've got lying around onto the sheet, which will act as a positive to stop out the light penetrating through. So some things are more transparent than others. It's better if you've got something that's quite flat, really, that will be flattened down. So you can see that these stand off the paper at the moment, but I'm going to put a piece of Perspex over it, so that will take it down. But I've also got some little shards of paper which I'm going to just sprinkle around as well, just to see how this works. This is just for demonstration purposes, of course. I expect all the creatives, inspiring people that are watching this video will have their own ideas of what they can use as a positive to block out the light. Okay, let's take piece of string as well, and we'll just drop it on. I've got some wire here, just going to drop some pieces of wire over the top as well. So you can see it with this, I'm using objects, but you don't always need to use objects. You could use, like I showed you before, an ink drawing on tracing paper or on acetate, and that will do just as good. It's a bit like pick up sticks, this. Anybody remember that game? Right, so I've got that as that. I'll now take my sheet of Perspex and I'm just going to drop that over the top and hold it in position. Make sure the Perspex, or plastic sheeting I should say, not Perspex, is clean. You don't want mucky areas on it, because if you've used it for monoprinting or something like that, just give it a good clean. So I'm going to clip this down now, and then I'm going to put it outside for 30 minutes. We've got a really good day outside. It's cold, there's snow on the ground, but it's one of those winter days when the sun is really bright and strong. So it's a good day to do this process. So I put these outside now in the sun. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a January afternoon, and the sun is really low, so you can probably see where the shadows are falling on these papers. I'm going to expose them for 30 minutes and see how they come out. Okay, I brought these in from outside. They've been out there for 30 minutes. The sun has gone down, so it's not really had its full 30 minutes. And one of the points with this is that you can probably see, I hope, with these cameras, that the objects aren't sitting totally flat against the paper. But we'll develop these images and see what we've got. If not, I'll make another one and we'll try again on another sunny day, which will probably be about 6 months away. Okay, so plastic sheet off. Just take everything off. And you can see there that the feathers have come out. And then on this one, there's some marks there, so we'll see. I think there'll be something to look at. So what I'll do now, I've got a tray of water here. If you haven't got a tray of water, you could use a sink, depending on the size of paper you've got, obviously. So I'm just going to put this in water. It's just ordinary water, and you can see there's an instant change in the image. It's quite blurry, and I think a lot of that is to do with the movement of the sun, of course. 30 minutes is quite some time, but I read that you should leave these in for about 10 minutes and let them wash out, and keep moving the water around just as you would do if you have ever developed an analog photo. The longer it's exposed to light, the darker the blue becomes, but you do run the risk of bleeding out the image if it's a very fine detail. You're quite lucky with this, because here you can see that there's quite a fine line with that. It's worked out quite nice. So I've got that in there. I'm going to pop the other one over the top. I would normally do them one after the other, but I'm just saving time really. I'm probably going to leave that there, I think, really, because I'm quite happy with that image as it is. And I'll put that out over to dry. So this is the one with the feathers now. Let's see what we've got on this one. Again, you can see there's an instant change in the image. You can see where the feather is sat closer to the paper, so it's blocked out more of the sunshine getting onto the paper, the coated paper, and you get more of a true reading doing that. And of course, as you're making these, there's nothing to stop you stopping halfway through and moving some of the objects you've got on the paper. Then you can get different tones and different effects. It's about experimentation, like a lot of printmaking. So that's it really. What I would suggest you do when you're trying this process is you need to do some test pieces to see what ranges of blue you can achieve and how much exposure to the sunlight, the daylight, that it will need. Winter outside is not really the best time to do this process, but it just fits in with I suppose the lockdown, and it's something that people can try at home if they've got the solutions. Doesn't need to have a lot of equipment. It's just a nice, easy, quick process. So here you can see the two dried prints. Paper's a bit curled at the moment, but you can flatten that out by dampening the paper again slightly, putting it in between some, I would recommend blocking paper, and put some weight on top of it and let it dry for a day or 2 days, and that will flatten it out like it will with any sort of printed paper on damp paper. Okay, I'll show you that, and there's one more thing I wanted to show you before we end this video. While we've been doing this, I've tried something of my own. This is a drawing that I'd done for a screen print, and I exposed the screen print and it printed quite nice. I was quite pleased with it, but I thought I would just see what happened if I used this drawing as a positive for a cyanotype, and I did, and this is the result. So there's two things about this. One of them, which is quite odd, is there's a sort of grid element to the image, which is these lines here. And I put the paper, once I coated it, into our drying cabinet for screens. And I think what's happened is that it's tightened. It was too hot when I put it in, and it's affected the coating on the paper. But as you can see, the drawing has come out, even though the lines were really fine and really delicate. It's worked. The image has worked fine. I'm very pleased with it. I hope you can see it. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit with it. I hope it's coming out. I'm not sure, but there you go. Yeah, so it's one of those happy accidents, or experiments, I should say, not accidents, that happen every now and then. So really that's all for this video. There may be another one in future on more advanced techniques with the cyanotype, but I hope it will give you an indication of what you can achieve. As a footnote, I would say that these chemicals, even though I don't wear gloves, I do constantly wash my hands. It's always advisable either to constantly wash your hands or protect yourself with disposable gloves. This paper, in case you're interested, that I printed this one on, this is Somerset cream, and it's about 300 gram paper, just to give a different colour to it, a different feel to the image. Okay, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.